Apart from the one-on-one and even group interviews, what other interviews should you expect next time the employer calls you for an interview? So I'll discuss 4 interviews, very common with the Kenyan HR managers or recruiters, and be able to advise you on what you should expect with each interview type. The first interview type is what we call the competence-based interviews. So as the name suggests, this is where the employer or the interviewer, they want to gauge you based on your skills and experience, be it the current or past experience. So here they want to see, are you a good fit? Has your previous roles prepared you for the job that they're interviewing you for? So let's say you're an accountant, they would want to know, how is your typical day like? What kind of reports do you file? Tell me step by step, how do you do bank reconciliations? If you're a salesperson, they'll ask you, who are your customers? Tell me the last process you used to get a client on board. Who do you deal with? If you're an IT person, they'd also want to know, what are your deliverables on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis. So remember, competence-based, it's all about your skills. It's not so much focusing on your personality. It's more of, this is the job we are hiring you for, and we want to know, do you have the skills and the experience to perform? The second interview, and this is very common if you're in a client-facing role or you're in a leadership position, is what we call the stress interview. Have you been in a situation where the interviewer, they keeps interjecting, or they push you to the limits? They ask you an awkward question, and sometimes very invasive questions, which you may be wondering, where is this person coming from? That's what we call a stress interview. So for example, if I'm hiring a customer service person, I want to see, can they be able to deal with rude and even difficult customers? So the best approach is not to ask them, tell me of a difficult time you face with a client. I'll put them under stress. I'll ask them something which maybe, why did you decide to wear the top that you're wearing? And whereas it's an innocent question, someone who's not able to handle stress, they'll think, okay, does it mean my top is not good? And you find some people shutting down, keeping quiet. But others who are used to such questions, innocent questions, but which can carry a lot of meaning, they'll be able to answer you well. They say, maybe it's my favorite, or I like this color, or something like that. So for stress interviews, remember, the interviewer is trying to push you to the limits. So they'll give you scenarios, or they'll ask you questions to be able to see your behavior, your reaction, and they will be able to see, depending on how you behave and react, they'll be able to say, if you're put in a similar situation, will you be able to come through? Will you be able to handle? So whether it's about managing clients, whether it's about managing employees, or even handling tasks at a very senior level, you should always expect some form of stress interview. The third form of interview, and this is very common, especially for senior level position, is what I call the test interview. So for test interview, think about case studies, presentations, or takeaway. Similar to competence. Competence is the way I explain the competence-based interview. This is where you're having a one-on-one discussion. But for test interview, someone wants to see, they want to evaluate your skills, and they want something they can refer to. So if it's a case study, I'll give you a case study. I want to see your thought process. I want to see, how do you approach this issue from the start to the end. If it's a presentation, I want to see your confidence. I want to see your communication skills, etc. So test interview is very similar to the competence-based interview in the sense that it's all about your skill set. Do you have a transferable skill set that the job requires? The last one is what I call the on-site interview. So this is normally happens before the offer is made. So the HR or the employer will call you and they'll tell you, okay, come, we want you to meet the finance manager, the other directors. So you've done all well, but then you find someone is asking you for 2 hours or even half of your day. They want you to visit the organization. And the important thing here is the HR or the employer, they want to gauge your suitability, in terms of, are you able to fit within the organizational culture? Remember, especially for senior level position, there are people who are very good at what they do, but for one reason or another, they can't fit in one environment. So you'll find the company wants to make sure that beyond your qualifications, beyond your skills, you actually a good fit in terms of culture. So you meet the CFO, and the CFO will ask you questions, depending on your personality, touching on your personality. The MD might ask you how you've been, how you've handled, like now the COVID issues, how you've handled disappointing moments in your career, in your life. And every person will be picking something from you. And at the end of the day, before they make the offer, I'm sure they'll meet somewhere and be able to see, oh, okay, based on my interaction with this person, this is how I perceive them to be. And I've seen many instances. In fact, there's a marketing manager who was telling me they thought they had gotten the job and they had even resigned, because where they were coming from, they were really not happy. So it so happened that they had passed every stage of the interview. But now when it came to the final stage, for one reason or another, they were invited to meet other board members, and it didn't work out. And unfortunately, they had already resigned, and so guess what? It took them close to 4 months to get another job. So I always tell professionals, until you get a written offer and you sign, please don't resign, because as you can see, something as simple as the on-site interview, the fact that you might meet someone and you don't gel, your personalities don't gel, and it can end up costing you your current job if you make a rash decision. So get to understand interviews, and those are the 4 common interview types you should expect with the Kenyan interviewers. And if you're able to master them, then your next interview will not be a challenge. And if you've been attending interviews and for one reason or another, you don't get the job, then I think it's time you talked to an expert. So here at Corporate Staffing Services, we do help professionals who are looking to position themselves by helping them with interview coaching service. So if you've been applying for jobs, you get called for interviews, but for one reason or another, the employer does not proceed with you, then I think it's a high time we talk. So there's a link below with more details on how we can be able to assist you. So thank you very much for watching, and for more informative videos on interviews and how to conquer interviews, do subscribe and we'll keep you posted. Thank you for your time.